So the talk tonight, I'm really excited about. I'm calling it a fresh start, embracing the beginner's mind. Has anybody heard about this beginner's mind concept before? Okay, so it's going to be a little cool, a little weird, but are y'all on for the ride, right? Choo-choo? Can I get a choo-choo? Choo-choo! Here we go. So this is one of my favorite topics for myriad reasons, and one of my favorite teachers has a 2-hour-long Dharma talk on the beginner's mind. And that teacher's name is Thich Nhat Hanh. And he starts with this really short, well, he doesn't start, but he offers this meditation that I call the matchbook meditation. And so I want to start with that, if you'll humor me. Yeah? Yes. Thank you for the crowd participation. I love it. So he starts by saying, this is a box of matches that I brought all the way from France. I'm going to tell you, this is a box of matches that I got off my dresser that my wife brought back from New York City at some point. She collects matches. And Thich Nhat Hanh, his nickname is Tay. We call him Tay. So Tay says, so we're going to talk to the flame. So we're going to talk to the flame. And the flame is somewhere in here. We can't say that she exists or does not exist. She's somewhere, maybe hidden inside the box, maybe on the outside of the box. And outside of the box, there's oxygen. And oxygen is essential for the manifestation of a flame, no? Right? And so Tay says, dear little flame, I know you are there somehow, literally talking to the matchbox. We don't believe that you belong to the realm of non-being, so manifest yourself for us. And he says, if you meditate hard enough, you can hear the answer. And the little flame says, I'm ready to manifest. All the conditions are exactly as they should be, except one. And so we provide the flame with the last condition needed to manifest, if it works. Hold on. Sometimes. All right. And then we say, hello, beautiful flame. Thank you for manifesting for us. Stay a little longer. So when I watched this beloved teacher give this short matchbox meditation, I was like, buddy, do you think that flame can actually hear you? Are we actually talking to the flame right now? Is that what's happening? Okay. All right. And in my mind, I notice all these notions come up of like, well, we know the scientific reason why the flame happens. It's because there's the oxygen and then we light the match and that's the thing and that's where the flame comes from. We know why the reaction happens to create the flame. And my mind goes, the flame only arises when those conditions are met. Right? Naturally, that's what we think. Right? But what Tay is trying to tell us is that at no point does the flame exist or not exist. I told you, we're going deep, so buckle up. He calls it the realm of being versus non-being, so that's why he said, we do not believe you belong in the realm of non-being. What he's trying to show us is the flame is present within the oxygen and the match and the movement of the fingers. It's present in the air that we breathe. We breathe the same oxygen the flame breathes, thus the flame exists within the oxygen we breathe, thus the flame exists in us. And the tree used to make the match. The flame is present in the tree. So for me, it shows me to think about things more as a continuation other than a reaction. And a reaction that doesn't necessarily die when it goes out. This will probably go in a compost bin where it will become soil, where it may become another tree, where it may become a match, where it may become a flame. And so the idea is, instead of it may become, it already is. And this is a hard thing for folks to digest. And you may even be here right now being like, what is she saying? Especially those of you who are new, right? You might notice some judgment coming up, like, this is some woo-woo stuff. And that's okay. But one of the things about the beginner's mind, and the reason I love this example, because it truly puts our beginner's mind to the test, because we know where the flame comes from. Beginner's mind is working to see the ultimate truth. And in order to see the ultimate truth, we have to release or unlearn the conventional truth. So all embracing the beginner's mind is unlearning and letting go of the conventional truth. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go over what exactly is the beginner's mind, some characteristics of the beginner's mind, and some practices to see from a fresh start. I'm curious, how many of y'all have been meditating for what you would say like a little while? Well, who would call yourself a meditator, right? How many of you are like, I'm just trying my best. I don't know if I'm a meditator. Do we got some of those? Awesome sauce. So this is for everyone, right? But I find this practice is very helpful for me, especially as I start to think I know things. The farther down I get in my meditation practice, the more I need this. So you beginners, you're doing great. Crushing it. So beginner's mind is... it comes really from the Zen tradition. There's a book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Suzuki Roshi. You can actually get it for free on the internet. You can just type in Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, PDF, boom, right there. So go read it. And there's a quote that you'll hear in a lot of Dharma spaces. And Dharma, for those of you who are new, when I say the word Dharma, I just mean the teachings of the Buddha, the teachings of mindfulness, right? So in Dharma spaces, you'll hear a quote very often, and it says, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, and in the expert's mind, there are few. And the word for this, the Japanese have a literal word for this, which is shoshin, I believe is how it's pronounced. And so I wanted to read an excerpt from the book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It says, in the beginner's mind, there is no thought, I have attained something. All self-centered thoughts limit our vast mind. When we have no thought of achievement, no thought of self, we are true beginners. When we can really learn something. The beginner's mind is the mind of compassion. When our mind is compassionate, it is boundless. Dogen Zenji, the founder of our school, always emphasized how important it is to resume our boundless original mind. Then we are always true to ourselves, in sympathy with all beings, and can actually practice. So I explained this comes from the Zen tradition, and we're not a Zen center. I know some of y'all are hip to the Zen tradition, and if you're not, don't worry about it. You don't need to know. But for those of you that are hip to the different schools of Buddhism, this is something that comes from the Zen tradition, but is taught very widely throughout all the other traditions, and our tradition of Theravada and Buddhism included. But you do not have to be a Buddhist to use beginner's mind for a more skillful way to walk about life. So Tay says during his talk about this, that beginner's mind is the mind of love. And he says, very strong, very beautiful. So anytime you go back to this, I just want you to hear that in your head. Tay, very strong, very beautiful. It's the ultimate truth. And I mentioned that in order to see the ultimate truth, we must release or unlearn the conventional truth. And so I know what you're thinking. Maddie, what the heck is the ultimate truth? What the heck is the conventional truth? Well, let me tell you. The conventional truth for our purposes today, in this moment. Because really when you boil it down, you're the only one that can define ultimate and conventional truth for yourself. But I'll give you a little bit of a teaser, a little taste. So for our purposes today, the conventional truth is all our ideas. Birth, death, the Buddha even, living beings, enlightenment, delusion, dukkha. These are all concepts, right? These are all concepts, notions. The ultimate truth, some would call God. Some would call suchness. I like to call it a direct participation with reality. So I'll make it easy. How has anybody been to Hawaii? Raise your hand. All right. I've never been to Hawaii. Can you explain in like a sentence what it's like?
It's a magical oasis of plants and animals.
Nice. Okay. Sunshine. I love that. Has anybody eaten a star fruit? All right. Can you explain? I've never had one. Can you explain to me what it's like?
Well, so this little lunch fruit, it has little wings, and it's actually kind of oval-shaped.
Oh.
With the same, it's coming out, but when you cut it, like into two slices, it looks like a star.
Oh.
And it has kind of a citrusy taste, but not overwhelming citrusy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love y'all, but no matter how long you try to tell me what Hawaii is like or what a star fruit is like, I'm not going to know until I go there, until I try it. Conventional truth versus ultimate truth. Does that make sense? I would like to go to Hawaii if anybody wants to take me. If you can also bring me a star fruit, we'll have a little taste test. So what I'm kind of trying to hit home here is insight cannot come to you through concepts alone, but through direct experience. And Tay says we can make good use of these concepts. It's not that the concepts are bad. Concepts bad, experience good. No, we don't do a lot of good and bad here. But we can make good use of these concepts to aid in our practice. We call this right mindfulness. So to kind of tie it in a little bow, as best I can, the beginner's mind, in my personal experience, is letting go of everything I think I know to directly participate. It's sitting and offering this talk with an ease in the unknowing of anything than what is the ultimate truth in this moment. And so I know some of you all are new, maybe even some of you who aren't new. This approach can feel a little abstract. It can feel a little, if I would have heard this talk when I first walked in, I'd be out the door. It's a little too, can be a little too dharma-y right off the rip for me. So I want to kind of speak to what kind of characteristics are embodied by one who sees through the lens of the beginner's mind. So I said earlier, when we were doing our little icebreaker, I recently picked up disc golf. And it's allowed me to examine a lot of these qualities of the beginner's mind. So one of the first qualities that I notice is curiosity. So I'm researching what kind of discs I need. I'm on like the apps. I'm looking up all the different courses and all the different directions of the courses I can go to. Y'all, my wife caught me watching a disc golf tournament on YouTube. Who am I? I used to play punk music. So curiosity shows up. Am I interested if he's going to get a birdie on the second hole? Yeah, I'm curious. And then openness is also very present. And I like this because my definition is knowing that I don't know and can't possibly know what to expect. For me, that's what openness feels like. So when I pack up, I got a little bag that's got all the little discs. It's really cute. I should have brought it in to show y'all. I literally went disc golfing once and then put it all on my Christmas list and got it. I don't know why. But I have a friend that introduced me to disc golf, and he's actually one of the guys who helped introduce me to the Dharma as well, which is really cool. And when I go, I don't even know if we call it disc golfing, but when I throw with him, it's awesome because I don't know what to expect. Unlike, he's been doing it since he was 19. He knows that if he brings his wrists this way, it's going to go and right into the basket. I'm just going in the direction, hoping it works, right? There's no expectation that I'm going to get it in or not get it in. I'm just knowing that I have no idea what I'm doing. And there's a lot of freedom in that. There's a lot of freedom in the openness of that. Another characteristic that comes to mind of the beginner's mind is eagerness. So asking a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. But I'll tell you this, my buddy who is teaching me how to disc golf came to the center to sit 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and he asks me for my car keys. I'm like, okay, oh, sure, I trust you. What do you need? Gonna go get a coffee? What are you gonna do? And he's like, I have something for you. And I said, okay. And so he goes out, he comes back in, gives me my keys, and I went up to Cleveland, Ohio to visit my family for New Year's. And I go to open my trunk to put suitcases in, and there is a practice disc golf basket in the back of my car. Pleasant. And so naturally, I don't know if you know this about Ohio, but it's, pardon my language, it's fucking cold. It's very cold right now. But you know that didn't stop me from taking out my little practice basket, putting it smack dab in the middle of the snow, and just staying out there for hours. So fun. My wife comes out with a little blanket, being like, what are you doing? Eagerness. I could not wait to open that basket and just toss some discs into it. I don't know why. It makes me smile just thinking about it. And one of the reasons it does that is because when I'm new at something, when I'm practicing something new, there's so much mindfulness. There's presence when I'm in it. When I am tossing a disc, I am just tossing a disc. So curiosity, openness, eagerness, and mindfulness. These are all characteristics of the beginner's mind. Now there's plenty more, I'm sure, but these are the ones that stick out to me the most. And so as I practice more and more, as I start to become less of a beginner, these things start to transform a little bit. And I know there's some musicians in here, so you know that for sure. As soon as you start to get better at guitar, better at piano, better at voice, or better at songwriting, whatever, you start to notice that Curiosity starts to go away, right? Things like that, and these things all shift. So for me, as I practice disc golf more and I get better and better, these things change and certain other things arise. One of those things that comes up is absolutes. I know the best course. I know the most effective throw in this particular situation. Oh, you moved your foot, so you're breaking a rule. Like I know these things. Absolute. This is right. This is wrong. So absolutes show up when we start to become an expert. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. So absolutes show up. For me, a big one is ambition. Ambition shows up. I am going to get this thing in that basket in 2 throws, and that's why I practice. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, is so I can win X tournament. I can win X, Y, Z. And again, we talked last week about the difference between desire and craving. So I'm not vilifying that. You are allowed to want to win the disc golf tournament. I am giving you permission. But it's noticing that when you become an expert, all of a sudden there's an expectation. Which leads me to the next thing that arises for me, which is expectation. If I don't perform as expected, there'll be a consequence. Right? Even if I do better than I expected. If I expect to do poorly and then do greatly, oh my gosh, how am I going to redo that? How am I going to get that again? Craving. And then the other thing that arises the more and more I become an expert is mindlessness. Not mindfulness, mindlessness. I can putt in my sleep, I liken it to, this is a bad example, but I liken it to texting and driving, right? So I remember when I was a teenager, I had one of those Razor telephones. I can't believe I just called it a telephone, y'all. Whoa. I had one of those, and I had this, we called it the Champagne Chariot. It was a Saturn 3-door coupe. And I was 15, driving to my job at McDonald's, and I tried to text and drive, not happening. And now I'm on 65 north, not even looking, sending a novel to Dawn about who knows what. Can you please sub for me this day, this day, this day, this day? Mindlessness. So when I'm driving, instead of just driving, I'm texting, right? So when I'm throwing a disc, I'm not just throwing a disc. I'm thinking about, what am I going to do on the next hole? I can putt in my sleep. So what we're really talking about here is bringing the beginner's mind into our meditation practice. And when we bring it into our meditation practice, it starts to flow into our day-to-day. That's why we call it a practice. So how do we do that? There's a little story that Tay told as well. And he says, there was a grain of salt who wanted to know how salty the seawater was. And so the ocean says to the salt, if you want to understand, jump in and become one with us. And we can only truly understand by becoming one with the object of our understanding. So let's picture it this way. We are the grain of salt. We are the salty little beans, right? We're just salting around the world. And meditation is the ocean. So all we need to do is become one with the meditation. Which sounds real Zen of me. Become one with your meditation. But hopefully it starts to make some more sense. So we'll go back to our friend, the flame. If I can get it. Manifest for us. Oh no, I broke it. I broke it.
Matches aren't what they used to be.
They aren't. Come on.
It's just weird to know
Okay, wait. We'll do something else. This battery. So we look at the battery. And instead of just observing the battery, this is a battery, right? Instead of just observing it, we become a participant. We become one with the battery. Knowing that it's made up of elements that we are also made up of. Knowing that there is energy, and we are also experiencing energy. Knowing that the microphone, it powers, turns into sound wave, comes into the ears. This battery is a Dharma talk. Isn't that wild? So instead of just being like, yeah, that's a battery, participate. Participate in the contemplation of it. Instead of just being like, I'm going to sit and meditate, participate in your meditation. What role do you play within the meditation, within context of your own consciousness? It can be a little sticky. But you see what I'm getting at here? So often we just treat this like a checkbox, right? Okay, I got up at 6:30 and I meditated. Go me. It's January. Give me till March. I'll be sleeping in. We just use it as this checkbox, so what ends up happening is we start to practice so that, okay, one day I'm going to sit for 2 hours. Oh, I'm going to prep for this retreat, just like disc golf. Instead of becoming a willing participant in the meditation. Instead of contemplating, how do I interact with the space around me? How is this all connected? I'll give you another example for those of you that maybe are a little like Dharma light. Y'all ever been to Disney World? We talk about Disney World a lot here. Mikey, our guiding teacher, who is honestly just the male version of me, we both tend to be Disney adults, which you would not know by looking at us, but we sing the Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow song to each other often, and it's beautiful. But so at Disney World, they have these spinning teacups. Are y'all familiar? Have you seen those? They're like an icon. You know what they are. And so let's imagine for a moment we're in Disney World. And when you look at the spinning teacups, there's two kinds of people, right? There's those that have their hand on the little wheel and they are going for it, right? They are just going for it. And then you've got the other folks cross-armed. Cross-armed and just trying to watch it all go down, right? They're not an active participant in the spinning teacup. They're there to observe. Know what I'm saying? So which one of you are the spinning ones? Who spins? I spin. So if our meditation is the spinning teacup, can we be the child actively participating? Can we be curious? Can we be open? Can we be eager? Can we be mindful? Can we be the child, the beginner, actively participating instead of the adult with their arms crossed, watching it all spin around them? When we sit down to meditate, can we be with whatever arises? Like a pain in the knee, right? Pain in the knee arises. Can we actively participate? Can we feel the pain? Can we get curious about the edges? Where does this pain start? Where does it end? Can we open towards it? I see you, pain. This is compassion. Can we find the eagerness and energy that resides in practice itself? And I know there's probably a good handful of us here tonight that might not even have a seated meditation practice. And again, you don't have to be Buddhist to use these things. You don't even have to have a seated meditation practice to be able to utilize this. But can you go to your job and can you be an active participant? When you have a conversation with your friend, can you be an active participant? You're going to tell me about your cat's sickness again. I'm going to be eager. I'm going to listen, right? Can you be a beginner? Because that's all embracing the beginner's mind is doing. It's unlearning the concepts and the notions so that we can reside in the ultimate truth. And the only way to reside within the ultimate truth is to participate. Now think about it. You see little kids? If I were to do that Matchbox thing in front of a little kid, they'd be like, whoa! Right? Be like, bye, Flame. Love you. So I'm going to close it out by reading another teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh. That's an option for meditation for some of you who might not have a seated practice. And I believe, I don't quote me on this, but I believe this is a little bit of a transcript of something he wrote, or he said before going to teach a Dharma talk to children. So it's kind of cool. And so it says, "Today we shall meditate on a cup of tea." He says, "This morning, if you went with us on the walking meditation, you saw Tay drinking his tea, peacefully and happily. Drinking tea is also a meditation. When you look into the tea, what do you see? I see a cloud. I see a cloud floating in the tea. Yesterday, the tea was a cloud up in the sky, but today it has become the tea in my glass. And when you look up on the blue sky, you don't see your cloud anymore, and you might say, oh no, my cloud has died. In fact, it has not died. It has become the tea in Tay's cup. So when I look mindfully to the tea, I see my cloud. I say, hello, my cloud, I see you. And when I drink my tea, I drink my cloud. You know we are made of cloud. At least 70% of you are cloud. You know if you take the cloud out of you, there's no you left. So cloud is a good subject of meditation. And a cloud has a good time traveling. When it falls down, it does not die. It just becomes rain. A cloud can never die. A cloud can become snow or rain or ice, but a cloud can never die. So the cloud becomes the rain becomes the creek on a mountain, and the creek flows down, it becomes a river, and the river goes to the sea, and the heat generated with the sun helps the water in the ocean evaporate and become cloud again. So the cloud has a good time traveling, wearing all kinds of form, wearing all kinds of appearance. You know this, the cloud has become the tea, and Tay is going to drink his tea. And what will become this tea? It will become a Dharma talk. My dear little cloud, I am drinking you. You will become one with me. And thanks to you, I am going to give a Dharma talk to the children. Because I know how to drink my tea mindfully. That is why I can see the cloud in my tea, and I can see that the cloud is very helpful, and it would help Tay give the Dharma talk. Without the cloud, no Dharma talk is possible. Remember, you are made of cloud also. At least 70% of you is cloud. So smile to the cloud in your tea. Smile to the cloud in your body. And next time you're about to eat an ice cream, look at the ice cream. And you see a cloud in your ice cream. I think you can. If you take 2 to 3 seconds to look into your ice cream, you can see your cloud in the ice cream before you eat the ice cream. Smile to the cloud in your ice cream first. That is meditation. That's easy, a very pleasant thing to do. So smile to the cloud in your tea. When you cry, there's a cloud in your tears. And maybe that tea that you drank yesterday has become part of your tears, and that is why I also wrote, "The tears I shed yesterday have become rain."
What's up, y'all? Reverend Mikey Noshel here from Wild Heart Meditation Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks for checking us out. Do me a favor, please like and subscribe. And if you feel moved to leave a donation, you can do so at wildheartmeditationcenter.org or the Venmo link in the description. Peace and love.